Hi, everybody. Thank you for stopping by to listen to our workshop tips on midterms. This is a continuation of the tips we recorded for last semester, fall semester 2021. So we also have that recording up as well. But there's some new information we want to share. First, though, I'm Anna Scanlon. I am the Director of the Writing Center and Tutoring Services here at Illinois Wesleyan, and it's my pleasure to share sort of our tips with you from our staff. So this presentation is going to cover tips for making the most out of your midterms, for doing the best you possibly can. We'll have 10 updated suggestions from the WCTS staff at Illinois Wesleyan. We'll also recommend some additional campus resources for support, including the wonderful Ames librarians and the WLLC, or World Languages, Literatures, and Cultures tutors. So without further ado, we're going to go 1 through 10 with 10 tips to help you succeed on your midterms. So first is tip 1. We recommend you choose a good study and writing space. For us personally, we are big fans of the east side of Ames Library. It's not only where we're located, but it's also got new updated furniture with a variety of seating styles to accommodate groups as well as single writers and studiers. We know that by now you probably know what works for you, but if you don't, we recommend you come see our student success tutors. We know some people need a quiet space to study, and so the Ames Library is good for that. We also know some people need a more busy or active place to study, and so we have some recommendations for that as well. But the biggest thing that we recommend overall is that you make sure you're comfortable wherever you're sitting, no matter what. So with that in mind, not only should you be comfortable with where you're sitting, but you also want to make sure that you have a good surface on which to write, which is why we recommend Ames Libraries. East side, there's not only tables, but there's little desks, and you see in that sort of raised seating area. There's also tons of whiteboards over here, and we know people are fans of the whiteboards. We have movable ones as well as stationary ones. And you also want to make sure that you find a place you can take breaks to walk and stretch without disturbing too many other people. Ames Library's east side is also really nice because, as you can tell, it's where my office is located, and there's a lot of sunlight over here, which is really important to get during the winter months. We'll talk a little bit more about that too. We also recommend a couple other great spaces for group study. The athletic study tables are great for athletes. They are Sunday through Thursday in CNS, and we do actually have a student success and a writing center tutor there most nights. We also love the dugout if you're someone who needs a little bit more noise to stay focused. I am personally in that way myself, so that's a good place to go. State Farm Hall is also another great place for that, which we have listed below. And then your residence hall common areas are great too if you're looking for a group study space. Ames study rooms also exist for group study space as well as one-on-one space. State Farm Hall on the weekends is a ghost town, so if you need a quiet place on the weekends, that's where I'd recommend. And then also your own room, especially if you and your roommates can set up sort of a study schedule of, I take the room during X times, you take the room during Y times. So kind of bearing that idea in mind, we recommend setting a study and writing schedule. We kind of suggest that at the first you take a notebook and you kind of plot down how much time you have to study before your midterms and what you need to do. Which classes, for example, do you struggle in the most? Those might be the ones you prioritized. We recommend trying to distribute your time in a reasonable way, making sure that you provide breaks for sleeping, eating, and just breaks in general for going outside or for watching a Netflix show or something like that. So there are a couple great utilities that can help you kind of determine when to study and when to take breaks. Obviously, as always, there's Google Calendar. We're a Google campus, so you have that ready. What's nice is Google Calendar will also send reminders to your phone if you set it up that way. So that way, if you feel like you've been doing something a little too long, either studying or taking a break, Google Calendar can send you reminders to switch tasks. Notion is a great app with some free features that will allow you to plan and strategize your time. And the Pomodoro technique is one of our favorites, especially among our student success tutors. There's a free Pomodoro timer online if you just Google Pomodoro timer. It's always the first result. But what the Pomodoro method does, it allows you to study for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, and then take another study session, and then take a 15 to 30-minute break. So it's a good chance to sort of cycle yourself through studying and breaks so you can allow the material to sink in, and it will help with your retention long term. Another thing kind of going along those lines, especially as hinted at with that Pomodoro method, you do want to take breaks in between study and writing sessions. Cramming is as bad as you would think it is, because you can't force yourself to remember everything. You're going to hurt your retention if you do that. But if you step away and let the material sink in, it's actually going to do better for your retention and memory. Same is true for writing. You need to take breaks from your writing so that you can really think about how it's gelling, think about your organizational flow, and think about what sort of edits you might want to make. We recommend that as you go along, the longer you're studying, the longer your break should become in between. So when you first start out, maybe a 5-minute break, but if you've been going and studying for 2 hours, take a 15-minute break, take a 30-minute break. We have a couple suggestions for how to spend your break, and these are new this year, so we're excited about them. The first is to grab a snack. As always, everyone can use brain food, and they've proven that there is a link between being well nourished and being able to retain material better. We always recommend that you get up and walk around for a time to get your mind and body focused on something else, even if it's just moving through physical space. Um, if you are someone who is not able to do that, we always recommend at least going to a new location, kind of traveling to a different place so that you can have your body thinking in a different place. We always love meditation. We have a great suggestion for how to practice meditation. So if you want to pause and look at that, that's a good idea. We also recommend coloring for a while or doodling to kind of let your mind wander and think about something else. Again, sort of that moving your mind and body into another place. And then another thing that we recommend is getting sunlight, especially in spring semester. The effects of less sun can be felt. We're more tired, we're more depressed, or maybe even more anxious. We don't have as much energy. So if you spend some time outside getting that vitamin D, you're really going to feel yourself boost and be more ready to study when you're done with your break. Okay. We recommend you pace yourself. I know it seems like we've already covered this, but we want to make it very clear that while cramming in new information may seem like a good idea, research has proved time and time again that it isn't. It doesn't allow for much retention and can actually help you lose the information you already had. You're better off studying a bit every night in every subject to pace yourself and let yourself gain knowledge of the material. And along with that, we recommend writing a little bit every night too. That way you're not writing a paper the night before it's due, whether or not you think you got away with it. Your professors always know, can confirm as one myself. But also, the more you spend doing different things like studying and writing, you're giving your brain chances to relax and engage with new activities. So it's really recommended. With that in mind, we have an example of how you can prioritize. I'm a nighttime studier. I do better with retention at night. So I prioritize this based on that. For me personally, math classes were always my hardest. So I would prioritize based on what is most difficult. I would start with studying that, and then I would slowly move to what is easier. So for me, writing is easiest. So I'd put my gateway class last. But I'd also note that I have time for breaks in between, right? I have a half-hour break in between my calc studying and my computer science studying, and I have a half-hour break between my computer studying and my gateway. That gives me a time to let the ideas sort of sink in, and then I'm not cramming. I'm spacing out. Instead of studying 3 hours one night, I'm studying 3 hours over 3 nights. It's going to be much better for you if you can do that. Again, if you want to pause here so that you can kind of copy down a table like this for your own, feel free to hit the pause on the playback. Another tip, you got to use your class notes, which means you got to be taking class notes. Look over the notes you took in class and see if you notice any patterns. We always recommend to students who aren't sure how to take class notes that if your professor emphasizes something multiple times or says something like, this is important, you should make sure you're taking that down and you're writing those notes down. You can also ask if you're not sure that you're a good class notes taker to share notes with your classmates and see what they notice that you might have missed. You just got to make sure you're willing to share your notes with them too. And finally, we always recommend you review the slides, recordings, paper prompts, and PowerPoints your professor shared with you. They created those for a reason, and so there's value to looking at through them. If you are someone who worries about note taking or hasn't been taking good notes, don't worry. Now it is not too late to start. You can start and get ready for finals at the very least. Our student success tutors at IWU will help you with note taking, whether or not you're already taking notes. They can look at what you currently have and give suggestions on how to improve, but they can also start at square one with you and go over a variety of different note taking strategies. They, in fact, this week uploaded a great handout on note-taking methods. It's under the resources section of our website, and we've screen grabbed one example here. It's their outlining method. All right, along with our wonderful student success tutors, there are all kinds of other wonderful tutors on campus available to help and support you. You also have your professor. So once you've looked at your notes or completed a draft of the paper, we always recommend you go to your professor or TA study sessions. And if they don't have study sessions, they do have office hours, so you should use them. If their office hours for some reason don't work for you, email your professor and ask if there's another time they'd be willing to meet. It's better to try. If you have a course embedded tutor or writing partner in your class, you can also go to them for additional information to get support for your midterm. We have a list of all the course embedded tutors, as well as all the student success and writing center tutors on our website. If you click the Meet Our Staff section, you'll be able to find out all of the different writing center tutors, student success tutors, and course embedded tutors. And you'll be able to read their bios and look at their pictures so you can kind of figure out who is who for when you walk into the physical space in Ames 105B or wherever your course embedded tutors have their office hours. The course embedded tutors, to just clarify kind of who they are, because there's always sort of a like, wait a minute, are also sometimes called TAs or course embedded TAs. You're more familiar probably with seeing them listed as CETs. These tutors are assigned to a specific class with a specific professor. They take the class along with you and can offer particularly insightful support because they're in the class hearing what the professor tells everyone. Student success tutors are trained to give you advice on everything from study skills to test taking tips. They'll help you with test taking anxiety. They'll help you with note taking skills. They'll help you with retention. They'll help you with procrastination and time management. They're kind of run the gamut of every academic skill you can think of. They also put on our academic skills series workshops, which are available through our website. Lastly, our writing center tutors. These tutors are taught to help you with any genre of writing or presenting, whether it's writing for academics or writing for fun. And all can be found on our IWU website if you search Writing Center at Illinois Wesleyan. All right, tip 7, try different resources for studying. It may seem like something you've heard before, or maybe even something your parents have told you before, but everybody has different study techniques that work for them. Student success tutors can help you figure out which would be best for you personally. But if you don't have that kind of time, at least look around and see what other apps are out there. We love Quizlet at the Writing Center. It's an online note card app, but it also allows you to do like practice quizzes and things like that. So it's a really great tool for retention. It's something you can like do while you're waiting in line at the dugout for food. We also love Forest and Study Bunny because they provide sort of an interactive and fun element to studying. If you're not someone who's a big fan of apps, then we can recommend the SQ3R method. And you can Google this to find out more. We have infographic there for you, but you can Google it to find out a lot more about this method. First, you survey. Instead of reading the entire book or chapter or whatever is going to be on your midterm, you start by skimming, looking at subheadings, images, headings, and standout features like charts or tables. Then you question. You formulate questions around the content that you've looked at to address the key points. Finally, you read. You begin reading the full chapter to look for answers to the questions you formulated, still kind of skimming through some of the material as needed. Lastly, before review, you recite. After reading a section, you summarize in your own words what you just read. I always recommend writing this part down because when you write things down by hand, it helps even further with your retention and your muscle memory. And lastly is review. Once you've finished a chapter or book or whatever it was you were reading, it's important to review the material fully to understand it. You can quiz yourself and reread any portions you need to based on what you kind of answer in your quiz. Tip 8, As always, studying is important, but so is doing something fun to de-stress. While it may feel like everyone is studying or writing a paper on campus during midterms and finals, they're not. They take time to relax and give our brain a chance to do something different. So we recommend, or rather our tutors recommend, going to Shirk to work out, spending some time outside, taking a walk, eating dinner with friends, calling a loved one, or watching a movie. There are also a couple different campus resources you can use for fun. If you type search into that green search bar, you'll find some of these. There's sun lamps in the Ames Library to help with seasonal affective disorder and to get you that vitamin D. There's coloring pages on the Counseling Center's website that you can print out and color for fun if you're not a doodler. The campus events calendar has a lot of events going on during midterms, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of those in a minute. There's for fun reading by the circulation desk in the Ames Library, and there are also art displays in the Ames Art Building that you can always be checking out and are also listed on the campus calendar. Tip 9. Tip 9 goes along hand in hand with tip 8, but you need to practice self-care. You need to make sure you get good night's sleeps before final exams. You need to make sure you're still eating well during those midterms and wearing your comfy clothes. Nobody wants to take an exam sitting in suit and tie, so make sure that you're dressed in a way that's comfortable so you can take the exam most comfortably. While you write, take time to think about your ideas. Don't critique yourself too harshly and say things like, this is a dumb paper, or I'm a bad writer. Reinforce that you're here trying, and so that matters. Use the counseling center. Always a good idea. We have group counseling as well as one-on-one, and we have a stress-free zone. And this is one of my favorites. Talk with those you love and care. Talk with those you love and those who care for you, even just a few minutes every day about something other than midterms. Ask them what's going on in their life. Ask them how they're doing. Find out about them and focus not so much on yourself for a little bit from time to time. Lastly, as alluded to earlier, tip 10 is to take part in campus events. Think about games you want to see or workshops you want to attend or RSOs that might be having meetings that you're interested in. RSOs are registered student organizations. Taking a break with other academic activities or other activities that are happening on campus will help you connect with campus while giving your brain a break from coursework. So here are a couple events that we recommend. First, February 11th, which is a Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. in Turfler Room in the Memorial Center, Black Student Union is having a Black History Forum. February 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Ames Library 105B and on Zoom, we'll be celebrating the Douglas Day Transcribe-a-thon in the WCTS. Here we'll transcribe the work of 19th century Black female activists and eat birthday cake to celebrate the birthday of Frederick Douglass. No prior transcription knowledge is required, and we hope to see you there. February 16th from 7 to 10 p.m. in Ames Library 105B, we'll have our Study Right Almost All Night. This event will include tutors on hand. No appointment will be required to support you with studying, writing, note-taking, and more, and we'll have snacks for that too. February 16th at 7 p.m. in Shirk, men's basketball is playing North Central. And February 17th at 7 p.m., the International Film Series is showing Man with a Movie Camera. There are also a lot more campus events. We had to pick and choose, and of course we're gonna highlight our own, but there are a lot going on. So I wanna also recommend a few additional campus resources for further support because we can always use it. The Language Resource Center, LRC, offers tutoring support for students learning an additional language. It's located on the 3rd floor of the Center for Liberal Arts, CLA, in room 303. Their hours are Monday and Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., Tuesday and Thursday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you want more information, just Google LRC on IWU's official website. The Ames librarians, they're amazing, and they'll provide you with research support, course guides, and even citation help. Course guides offer unique support for a variety of disciplines. You can just look them up if you type course guides into the Ames Library website, but research support will happen with your liaison librarian, and we have 4 different librarians doing this wonderful liaison work, and so they're separated by the categories in which they help. And citation suggestions can be found in their citation guide, which they have, but you can also meet with them during consultation hours to ask citation questions. We thank you so much for listening to me this afternoon. If you have questions, feel free to email me at my address listed right there. Thanks so much. Bye.